Welcome. This is To Our Core with Katie Murray, and this is the place where we peel back our layers to uncover who we really are at our centre, at our core. And think of it as a chat with your bestie, the one who can make you laugh until your belly hurts, who is ridiculously unfiltered, and will lovingly call you forward to help you cut through the noise and get real with yourself. Around here, nothing is off limits, and we are mixing this up with equal parts humour and heart, so let's dive right in. Hey, beautiful humans, and welcome back to Our Core with Katie Murray, and this is the podcast where we absolutely get real about what it means to live, lead, and love from the inside out. I'm your host. I am a coach, I am a speaker, I am a mum of 3, and can I just say I've recently discovered that 2 out of my 3 children are now taller than me. So that's a whole new dynamic, looking up into the faces of your little cherubs. And I also have been a self-confessed, recovering chaos seeker. And you might be like, what are you talking about? And this is what we're going to unpack, because I see it all the time in my clients and in past Katie, is the addiction to chaos. You know that feeling when life finally starts to feel like it's calming down and things are good, peaceful even. And instead of like being able to relax into it, your brain starts scanning for what's about to go wrong. And that's what I want to dive into today, because if this is something that you experience, a feeling of lack of safety in the moments of calm and peace, I want to explain why calm can feel unsafe. And I want to talk about why we can unconsciously recreate chaos even when we say that we desperately want peace in our lives. And I also want to talk about how we can actually rewire ourselves to hold on to the good, so to speak, when it arrives. And I want to start first with the truth is that we and our brains are wired for what is familiar, not necessarily what is good for us. We are wired to survive. So our brain is more likely to lean on the side of risk assessment, perceiving potential dangers or threats, than we are to push the envelope and the boundary and strive for success. Because success doesn't always feel safe. And our brain's number one job is, well, let's make her live through this. Let's make her survive. And if you've lived in a state of chaos for a really long time, whether that's emotionally or financially or within your relationships, if you do that for long enough, it becomes your baseline, your new normal. And your nervous system says things like, aha, this feels safe because it's familiar, because I know how to survive this. I'm wired to be able to predict how to respond in this because this is what I'm used to. So I can forecast. And I know it might sound wild, and you might consciously be saying, I crave stability. And your unconscious mind is like, hold up a second. What is this peace thing that we're doing now? And we don't really do peace. We do pressure and we do panic, and we think that productivity under fire is when we're most able to perform. And so when life finally softens a bit and you notice this unease creep in, even though it feels like this is something that you've wished for, it's almost like you're waiting for the other shoe to drop. And that's when the limiting beliefs can start to really creep in and start whispering, when's the penny going to drop here? Or I can't hold on to this, like good things don't last for me, or it's only a matter of time before it falls apart. Okay, so let's think about, you've been in a relationship and it wasn't overly a healthy one. And you were like, you get out of that relationship and you go to start a new relationship, and the old thoughts come in that say something like, this is too good to be true. This partner, there's got to be something wrong with them. That's what I'm talking about. Because guess what? Your nervous system listens to the story and will look for proof to make it true. Okay, so you've left the toxic relationship, or you're finally landing your dream job, or you're having a period where everything just feels good. And then your brain goes, it's not going to last. It is not going to last. And so you unconsciously create little fires to burn the whole fucking thing down. And you do this through overcommitting or picking fights or overthinking or avoiding rest until you're right back in the familiar chaos again. And guess what? Your brain goes, that's better. We know this. We can deal with this. And that's the addiction. And it's not because we love chaos. It's because we've learned to feel safe inside of it as our normal. So I'm going to talk science a little bit. Don't snooze on me. Stay with me. It's only going to be quick. And it's really important for you to understand what's happening so that you can understand that this is not just like, oh, it's a mindset hack and you can just like turn it off. It's really important that you understand what your brain's trying to help you with, to achieve you with, because when your body has spent years in fight or flight or freeze, that state becomes its normal. Your stress hormones spike. Your nervous system actually gets hooked to the highs and the lows, the adrenaline, the cortisol, the rush. So think back to when you have had a massive project that you have been working on and you are thriving in the chaos of it. And I used to even say this, I work best under pressure. Don't give me too much time to actually do this. I will pull out my A game when I'm most under pressure, when I am most stressed, when it feels chaotic and I'm like, why the hell have I left it to this point in time? And why do I put myself in this situation? And yet, if you do that enough times over and over and over again, in fact, I think that's pretty much how I survived my entire university degree, was cramming at the last minute, because the stress hormones and the rush of release of being able to finish that project was addictive in itself. And so when calm arrives, when you have everything planned out and you've been able to map away as you go, your system doesn't necessarily get that same hit. And in fact, it actually can feel really uncomfortable. Like, I don't really understand what's happening here, because your body doesn't necessarily recognize it as safety. It reads calm as boredom or even danger. And so what do we do so that we don't constantly have to live under this intense pressure in order to get things done? Well, we can often, in this process of seeking that adrenaline hit or that rush that feels like it's our motivation to get the project done, we can unconsciously self-sabotage the calm that we might have created by doing the pre-planning in order to bring ourselves back to the familiar sense of chaos. So here's a few examples that some of you might be able to relate to. You finally get traction in your business, and then suddenly what you start to see is procrastination, or even picking apart your very own success. Or maybe it looks like you're in a healthy relationship and then you start overanalyzing, pushing boundaries, testing them just to see if they're going to leave, just to, because, good things don't last. That's a belief. And there's got to be a catch to this, is another belief that might be popping up because it's too good to be true. Or maybe it's that you start feeling peaceful and your whole nervous system doesn't know how to react to it. And so you pick up your phone and you start scrolling or doom scrolling, and you flood your system with stimulation again in order to distract you from this sensation of calm, because your body doesn't know what to do with it. And this is not about you being weak or poor in your time management or undisciplined. It's about wiring. Your nervous system is trying to protect you. And I say this all the time with my clients, is often we think like, often how we talk about our brains, particularly when it's our thoughts and our beliefs are impacting our behaviors and we're doing things that we don't necessarily want for ourselves, or we know that it's not serving us. We can become at war with our own brain. We can be like, I don't know why I do this. I'm so fucked in the head, is things that I've actually heard people say about themselves. And so I really, really want to embed this with your nervous system. Your brain is just trying to be your best friend. It does not know right from wrong, so to speak, or good from bad, or what's serving you or not serving you. It is just focused on keeping you alive And the way it does that is, let's stick to the patterns, the beliefs, the behaviors that we've always done and we always know, because then we know how to respond. It is saying to you that I know how to survive chaos. In fact, some people, i.e. me, I have prided myself on the ability to be the person that responds well to chaos, that I am good in the storm, that I am good in the tough moments, that I can keep calm and keep really focused, and I get the job done, whatever that chaos might be. And even at times, it has felt like there has been some addiction to being the person that people come to in their own chaos, because it has allowed me to feel needed in that space. And it comes down to the fact that we don't necessarily know how to hold our calm. And so we're constantly seeking these like little adrenaline surges to make us feel alive, make us feel comfortable, because we know this. We know this. We can handle this. I'm good in a crisis. And self-sabotage isn't always like super dramatic. It can often feel really sneaky. And it can show up, like I said, in things like overthinking, so talking yourself out of what's working. Or it might be that you overcommit yourself, so you keep yourself so busy that you never ever have time to feel the calm. It might look like under celebrating yourself, so you just skip on past all the wins because you're actually just waiting for it to fall apart. In fact, you may have even just convinced yourself that all of your success that you've achieved is just a fluke. And so you just got to keep propelling yourself forward before anyone else realizes that you have no idea what you're doing. It could look like control, so micromanaging every detail so you never have to sit in uncertainty. And do you know what I realized when I went down my path of self-discovery is that I was a complete and utter control freak. And for me, when I first realized that brought a lot of shame up for me. Like I was like, I would never, ever, ever describe myself as a controlling person. However, it was so unconscious and it was so disguised, like things like I'm just organized, or I just like to know what the plan is so that I can be prepared. Or it got to the point, like I have always said, I don't like unrealistic movies. So I've never been into sci-fi or anything that sat outside of what I would deem as realistic. And that is because I did not want to entertain, even on an unconscious level, sitting in a cinema or on my couch watching a movie, that there were other realities to consider. I was that controlling of, I want the world to look like I know it and as I see it and as is familiar for me, because then I can create safety in that. And so when I said from a very young age, I don't even like cartoons because they're not realistic, then what I was doing was I was forging a belief in me, or a decision that I'd made on a so unconscious level that I did not want to entertain fantasy, because I don't know fantasy and I don't understand that and I can't create rules around it. So I will just stick with what I know and I will only consume things that fit within my reality. And all of these behaviors, they are just trying to keep us safe. Because if chaos is what you've always known, and I know watching a cartoon and me saying it's unrealistic doesn't necessarily equate to chaos. However, for me to entertain that, you know, there is a reality where there's sci-fi and there's animation and there's cartoons and I just like, I don't want to go there. I don't want to stretch myself outside of what's familiar and what's predictable, because often in situations like that, it would require me to sit outside of what I know. And it's the same with chaos. The predictability of whatever you believe feels soothing, even when that belief might hurt you. It's a strange sort of comfort that says something like, at least I know how this story goes. And there's this belief underneath all of that, that because I know how that this story goes, then I can in some way prepare myself for it. So let's shift gears a little bit. How do we actually break this cycle? If you're sitting along listening to this podcast and you're like, holy shit, yes, I can see this. I am resonating with this. These are behaviors and beliefs that I haven't even considered as an addiction to chaos. These are behaviors that I didn't ever equate with my need to overcommit myself or overthink things or try and micromanage or control things. How do I teach my mind and my body that calm can be safe? And so, as I like to include, is 3 practical strategies that you can literally start using as of today. And I want you to start really small. I want you to look at creating safety in stillness. So you know what I talked about when we sit down? Like even in a waiting room of a doctor's surgery where you sit down and immediately you pull out your phone, because the mere experience of just sitting still and being in your body without something to do feels unsafe. Even if you're not thinking that on a conscious level, oh, I'm so unsafe here, sitting in a doctor's surgery, waiting for my turn. It is so, you'll need to have dopamine hits. You'll need to have a spike in cortisol or adrenaline. Allows the stillness to no longer feel safe for you. So I'm going to invite you to think about how, even for 2 minutes, you strive and deliberately enact a plan to bring in intentional calm into your day. Maybe that looks like deep breathing. Maybe it looks like a walk without your phone, without the noise of music. I mean, if you're going for a walk and you're listening to this podcast, that is an exception to the rule. However, what would it look like if you didn't try and distract yourself away from the sensations in your body and you actually just went for a walk with yourself? What would it look like if you just lay down on the floor and noticed your breath? What would it feel like if you just sat and practiced your pelvic floor exercises? Ladies, if you are a woman, obviously, ladies, while you're listening to this podcast, do your pelvic floor exercises. That's my public service announcement for today. We all need to be doing them more than we are, let's face it. However, these moments of stillness teaches your nervous system that peace isn't dangerous. And what you can do is you can actually build tolerance for safety. So I am not saying that you need to go and sit in meditation for 30 minutes with nothing on, okay? I want this to be so small that it feels so easy to implement. And I know it sounds weird when I say a tolerance for safety, and also that's exactly what we're doing. Because when calm feels edgy, I don't want you to run from it. When you're sitting at a cafe and your friend goes, oh, I'm just going to go to the loo, and off they walk, you don't need to pull out your phone. You don't need to peruse the menu. You can just sit and breathe and remind yourself it's safe to feel calm. I'm allowed to rest. I don't need to earn ease. The second action that you could start practicing from today is looking at rewriting the stories that you're telling yourself. As a neurolinguistic programming coach and practitioner, I really emphasize to my clients how much their unconscious mind listens to the language that they use. So I want you to start challenging the chaos-driven beliefs that you have created for yourself. So instead of saying something like, when will the penny drop? I want you to rewrite the story with something that sounds like, I trust myself to handle whatever will come. Instead of saying, this won't last, I want to invite you into rewriting the story for it to be something like, I'm building a life where peace is the new normal. Instead of saying something like, this is too good to be true, I want you to rewrite it and say, it's good because it's true for me. And this is not about telling yourself some massive furfies. This is not about you creating this magical lie that you were just going to delusionally operate under. This is about actually rewiring your brain to see calm as success and not danger. And the third strategy I want to talk to you about is about identifying and interrupting self-sabotage loops. I want you to notice your patterns. Where do you tend to invite chaos back into your life? And when you catch yourself doing it, I want you to pause and I want you to ask yourself something like, what am I trying to feel safe from right now? What am I afraid might happen if I let this good thing last? Because naming it actually brings awareness, and awareness breaks the pattern. You've heard me talking about it throughout the podcast episodes, that awareness is the first step, because we cannot see what we cannot see. We cannot change what we do not know. So once we become aware of something, that then allows us the opportunity to break the pattern, and you can't heal what you don't name. So I want to invite you into a new truth. Peace isn't the absence of chaos. It is about learning to hold calm when your nervous system still craves the storm. If you've ever lived in survival mode, it's not about this being your fault that peace feels foreign to you. However, it is your responsibility. I assume most people here that listen to this podcast are adults or young adults. And I want you to step into this space of self-responsibility and self-leadership and self-accountability from the most empowered state. Between the ages of 0 to 7, we are largely very impressionable. We're like big sponges that just soak stuff up. Our brain waves are actually functioning at the same kind of level as a light hypnosis. We don't add context. We don't question as much, despite the fact that my children between the ages of 0 to 7 ask the question, why? Why mummy? Why mummy? Why mum? A lot. However, our ability to be able to create meaning and context when we're that little is often beyond what our brain's capacity is. We're just soaking in all these like little sayings even that our parents say, like money didn't grow on trees, or, to get anywhere in life, you've got to work hard. And then we adopt these beliefs as our own, when often they were never our beliefs in the first place. And so what I talk to clients about is often looking at, you may not have had the resources you needed at that time, at that point in your life, to be able to question or add context or clarify or make your own determination. However, you damn well do now. So start acting like it. Take responsibility from the space of, this is the most empowered way I can ever live my life. It's not about fault. It's not about blame. It's about I will always have choices available to me, and I get to choose what I do in those moments. And in this exact context of addiction to chaos, I want you to step into your self-responsibility and leadership. And I want you to teach your body that there is an alternative way. You deserve to live a life that doesn't require adrenaline to feel alive. You deserve to feel an ease in your life. I was only talking to a friend yesterday about this, that, if a job opportunity lands in your lap, this particular friend was like, oh, I don't know what to do. It almost feels too good to be true. And I'm like, is it too good to be true? Or is it just that you have held on to a belief that nothing comes this easy for you? That everything has to be earned and worked hard. And, that's where we resist what the universe offers us. Everyone, or a lot of people, I think, assume that when the universe comes knocking with opportunity, we expect it to be like a very solid knock and a very loud, repetitive doorbell. And often it's not. Often it's just a very quiet whisper. And so the question for us is, are we listening? Are we listening for the opportunity for ease to come into our life without having to question it, or without having to believe that we haven't done enough yet in order to earn this? You deserve ease. And not the kind that you have to earn or prove or chase for, the kind that's already within you when you stop running from yourself and running from opportunity. And so maybe today is an invitation to this. Notice when you reach for chaos. Pause before that pattern takes over, that familiar loop of thinking and beliefs. And step into responsibility that you get to choose safety in calm again and again until it becomes your normal. And I'm not going to lie to you, it will feel uncomfortable at the start, particularly if you're just doing that stillness within your body. You'll be like, I'm bored already. I'm bored already. You know what comes with boredom though? Space, clarity, and creativity. Every time I have felt like in this business, or whether it's showing up online, and I've been like, oh, I just don't feel like I've got anything right now to offer anyone to go online and start talking to them about something. And I just kept pulling blanks about, what could I create a reel on? How can I show up with value today? Because that's the thing for me. Social media is not a validation point. I don't care if people like it. I don't care if people, share it. I don't care if people follow me. Like, the numbers for me aren't the thing that impacts me. My desire is to offer value, is to do something that is going to help someone, particularly through this podcast and particularly through my social media, because that's accessible to them. Regardless of their financial circumstance, I want to be able to help people on all levels. And that might look like people being in a position to have exposure and consumption of the value that I offer to them in a 1-minute reel or listening to a 30-minute podcast episode. It might be that people can afford my lower cost offerings, which are my group online programs, which there is the waitlist open for the self-sabotage solution, which is a group program that is going to be run, and I'm opening the doors in terms of wait lists at the moment. And by being on that wait list, you will absolutely be the first to know when doors open for sales for that program. And that is all going to be about our self-sabotaging behaviors that show up, how we can identify them in the perfectionism that we seek in life, procrastination, people-pleasing behaviors, and then actually how we can change them, like in a really tangible way. So maybe that value is more accessible for more people in terms of a lower cost item. And then there is my premium one-to-one coaching. Regardless, it is always motivated by making impact and having value on others from my knowledge, my experience, and what I can offer them. So stepping into value is super important to me. And when I step away sometimes and create that space, that stillness, even if it's like I'm just not going to show up online for a couple of days because I just don't have anything to contribute. I don't feel like I've got anything to say that's going to help someone out there. And you know what? As soon as I disconnect for a day, what do you know? The ideas start flooding in. How I can be of service, how I can offer more value in this space. So it doesn't always feel comfortable, and also start questioning the rules that you've created for yourself about how things have to be. So for me, a rule, that is often out on social media is that you've got to show up every day. And I get to question whether or not that rule is going to work for me, particularly when I find that taking a few days offline and not just filling the space of social media with noise can allow that stillness. And sometimes it can feel a bit uncomfortable because I'm like, oh, I'm very much in my body and I feel like I should be doing something. And by not doing something, I then actually create a space where the ideas can drop in, that I've got room to hold them, that I've got room to ponder on them. And I will always come back with far greater value. So choosing safety in calm and then repeating that over and over again until it becomes your new normal. And if this episode resonated, as always, please share it with someone who may be ready to let go of the chaos too, or maybe they don't even realize that they're addicted to their own chaos. And so you can see some of the behaviors in them that are self-sabotaging them. Then I really, really encourage you to share it with them so that they can get benefit from this. If you're craving support and you want to break free from those deep-rooted patterns, I absolutely have got you. My one-to-one and group I did so well in not stumbling over my words today. My one-to-one and group coaching programs have waitlists available to them now that you can join, so that you're the first to know, and they are designed to help you on a far more intimate and deeper level to rewire the way we think, the beliefs we hold, and the behaviors that we show up with from the inside out. And you can find the link to how you can work with me in the show notes. And until next time, I want you to really breathe and soften and remember that you are not addicted to chaos. You are instead learning peace. Thanks for spending time with me today on To Our Core. If something landed in your heart or gave you a much needed giggle, consider sharing it with a friend who also may need this as a timely reminder. And go on. You know you want to. Give me a 5-star review so that this podcast can land in the ears of many, many more people. Because remember that life is too short to stay on the surface. Keep living, loving, and laughing all the way to your core. Go make life great. And if you want support around this, go to the show notes to find out more. Until next time, I'll meet you back here with more truth, laughter, and a whole lot of heart.